Hello, I'm Ian,
And I'm Darren.
and welcome to the Average Bikers in a Cave, a show where a group of bikers chat and share opinions about all things motorbike, from news, reviews, interviews, and the big questions. If you like what you hear, then be sure to subscribe, tell your friends, and leave us a review.
On this week's show, episode 7, we'll have our usual mix of nonsense. We will have a slightly smaller news update with a couple of bikes and a new route for everyone to try. Also, we will tackle this week's big question. If your bike's not down, you're not coming in. Bike's a hooey. You got some. Roll the blurb. This week's episode is sponsored by Afterground, an exceptional drone, wedding, portraiture and events photography and videography company that specialises in capturing video and images on the ground and in the air in a style that is modern yet timeless, interesting and vibrant, with a focus on exhilarating moments and pure fun. Using their experience, skills and knowledge, they will work with you to ensure your videos and photos are exactly the way you want them. For more information or to chat to the team, head over to www.afterground.com or check out their Facebook page. We're going for it.
Go for it.
Well, we're going for it now because I pushed the button. I pushed the button before I said we're going for it. Check-in time. You can go first.
I will go first. I've got loads to check in with.
Oh, have you?
Not really, to be honest. On a biking note, nothing much.
What about a general note?
A general, I've got an abscess
In your mouth?
in my mouth.
Just checking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Family show. But just
Family show.
checking.
Yeah, no, I've got a blooming abscess in my mouth, so that's not very pleasant. So I'm currently doped up in painkillers. So if I fall asleep during the podcast, I do apologise. If I fall asleep on my bike on the way home, then
We hear a third this week. It's
we
not
hear
the
a
cup.
it's not the cup, it's me. It's my head hitting the desk. So I've been I'm getting close to picking up the wee mutt mongrel. I'm picking up next week, I think. So which will be
Nice.
quite cool. So was going to go and pick it up. The battery was flat, so we got it all charged up and it's been sitting charging. So
Just come the long way by the cave when you pick it up.
we will do. We'll bring it by the cave and take some pictures of us all sitting on it. And the mutt mongrel.
And the mongrel.
And family show. So and the wee man's CBT's coming up soon. So a couple of weeks time. So
Is he excited?
he's really looking
Buzzing.
forward to it. He's buzzing.
Buzzing.
Aye, absolutely.
Good stuff.
I mean, I'm a bit annoyed that I've not got his wee bike yet because I was wanting to play about it for a few weeks before just kicking about the village, you know, because it makes a heck of a noise. It's got a great noise when it's just sitting, you know. It's quite
Oh,
quiet
does it?
when it's kind of pottering along the road, but the minute you go boom, it's just, you know, it breaks windows. It's great.
No, it should they? Or I'm going to say we. I'm looking at the Royal We.
The Royal
across
We.
the table. You should do a wee review on it. Because I don't think there's many reviews out there on that wee bike. Not that I've seen on YouTube. Maybe there is,
you
and I
know-
just haven't been looking. But
The one thing I wasn't sure. I've got a slight obsession with running out of petrol on a bike, right? So when I had a Kawasaki Ninja, it didn't have a fuel gauge, and it was one of those ones where I had to keep resetting the trip to make sure that when it went to 100 miles, I'm going to have to go and fill it up, you know, because I just, my biggest fear is running out of petrol on a run, right? And I was like, does this have a fuel gauge? Because I don't want John to get caught short or everything. So
Aye.
I searched for ages on the internet just to get some pictures or information on what the gauge and stuff was like, but of course it doesn't really. There's not that much information about it. So, and eventually I found an obscure picture where it was the wee dial, and it's just a speedometer, you know, with the mileage and a wee LCD gear indicator.
All right,
or
okay.
gear, and then I just noticed that somebody had taken a picture of it, and there was like a wee yellow fuel light. So it basically just tells you when you've got
when
low
you're
fuel,
running it.
but you don't know when that is.
well, wait until you get it. It might have a wee tiny LCD line or something
Aye, it
that's
might
not
do,
visible
aye.
in a picture or something.
Yeah, so we'll see. More on that next time.
more on that to follow.
So check in wise, that's honestly sore mouth, and I have started a couch to 5k. You know,
Impressive.
Which is so far I've managed the couch bit. Still working towards the 5k. You know,
Although when you did say, "Oh, I'm just going to go a wee run," before obviously you came out to record tonight,
Yep.
and I thought, cheeky get. He's going to a cheeky wee run before he goes, and not even an invite. And then obviously saw the little man emoji and went, "Yeah, no, I'll sit here on the couch and watch Mr. Robot."
Oh, did you watch Mr. Robot? Yeah.
I've never started. We're going to digress here, but I last night I thought I want something to watch for an hour because any longer than that was going to take me into like crazy o'clock.
Yeah.
And rather getting lost in the rabbit hole that is YouTube or TikTok, I thought I'll just go on, put the Apple TV on. Amazon was open, and saw it, and I went, I've heard loads of people talking about that. I'll watch the first episode, and then watch the second episode, and then it was like stupid o'clock. So
exactly. Yeah.
So
you went down the
rabbit hole. So I went down the Rami Malek rabbit hole.
Family show.
Yeah, okay, family show.
What about yourself, Dan?
Bike wise, bought molded earplugs. Not custom molded earplugs, but the ones that you can put in the water and heat them up, and then you can make your own impressions of your ears by Decibels. I've tried them once, so it's still early days. I might need to remold them slightly because the helmet I've still got is still fairly new, so it's still fairly tight. So I'll need to have a little bit of play about with them just to make them thingy.
But then the beauty is you can remold them.
But the beauty is you can remold them, and I mean, at the moment they do cut out an awful lot of sound, which is quite good. And it wasn't because I didn't want to pay for like proper molded ones. It's because there's no shows or anything on at the minute. So you then need to get an appointment with an audiologist to go and get your ear molds taken to then send it away. And it's like 6 weeks to get them. And I thought, I really don't want to wait that long. I'm not that patient. I am not a millennial by any means, but I am of the Amazon age where I can go, deliver tomorrow. Thanks very much.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so they're quite cool. We'll see how they go. I'll again update more once I've used them a bit more.
Cool.
And then the other thing was, and again, it's not so much biking related, but it is very loosely bike related. As we went to a market on Sunday over at Erskine, which if no one knows where Erskine is, there's no point in explaining it. But it's a little village.
Actually, you're probably better off in because
it's a little village that sits on
the River
there,
so fair enough. Yeah.
And actually, there was a guy there selling his own clothing brand, and he's called the Bearded Buyer.
Oh, of course, yeah, because we popped that on the Facebook page.
And I popped that on Facebook, so I got talking to him. Bought a pair of his shorts, which I'm sporting tonight with his little logo. But he's got another logo which I think he's going to start to introduce, which is more, it's a kind of face with a little kind of bearded fella on it, and it's really quite smart. So if anyone's interested, and all his stuff is actually, it's like sustainable, recycled, kind of that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a little bit more expensive than like a normal pair of shorts from a sports shop, but at least you're doing a little bit for the environment. If that way.
And does he have a beard?
It's not a beard. It's more of a long stubble, bit like mine.
Right.
So it's not like full on. But I don't know if he's had it in the past and cut it back or whatever. So check him out, the Bearded Buyer. His stuff's really quite cool actually.
Nice.
But that was it. Maybe we'll get him on and he can tell us all about his gear.
Absolutely. Maybe get a wee video episode with him or something. We can.
But we've got him. We've shared them on our Instagram and on his and stuff, so it's quite cool. But other than that, mate, I've been gearing up for my mock test for my advanced riding, which I'm not even going to go into because the minute someone said test, I went, I can't ride. So yeah, I'll wait until that one's all done before, because the less I think about it, the better.
I think that's the thing. I know that when I sat my test for my bike, and you'll be the same. The older you get, the harder it is to sit a test.
Well, that's the thing. I'm thinking to myself,
and I was only in my 30s when I did it, and I still was like, but that first test, I was like, I don't want to go.
Yeah, I had a bad ride on Wednesday night. By what standards I set, I had a bad ride. It was still a safe ride and stuff like that. So I mean, it probably is safer than some people riding it there. So, but from my own personal standards, it was shocking.
Yeah,
and I came back and got changed and took the dogs out of walk, clear the head and forget about it. But I couldn't forget about it because all I kept thinking was, Jesus, I'm 44. Why am I putting myself under stress for a test? To which my wife said, well, you decided to do it, so it's your fault. So
but that's
loads of sympathy.
It's an accomplishment, though. I mean, you know, and there's nothing wrong with putting yourself under a bit of stress. It's actually good for you, and when it's your choice.
Tell that to my cardiologist. But other than that, that's me, mate.
Cool.
It's been looking forward to next week off.
Yeah, and next week, hopefully, a wee bit of exciting news. Hopefully, we'll be doing a video trailer for Average Bikers in a Cave that we'll be able to share with you on YouTube and all our social media channels.
We've been trying to get this done for weeks, haven't we?
I know, absolutely. But
And,
we're hoping that, the typical Scottish weather, because of course tonight I left my house, which is only, 10 miles away, if that.
If that.
And it was sun was split in the sky. I got to hear for recording, sun's in the sky, but somehow in between, I'm a drowned rat. I don't know how. It was a 4 mile stretch where I thought I was just riding along and folk were throwing buckets of water over me.
I heard the bike coming in and I went, oh, Triumph, there's Ian coming. And then looked at it and I just saw damp denim.
Yeah.
And then the helmet was covered in drips and I thought, it's not raining. It's not been raining here.
Yep. Scotland, 4 seasons in one day. There we go.
In one postcode.
In one postcode.
In one postcode. Or zip code if you're fellow friends in the
zip
States.
code, yep. So, but we'll be hopefully sharing that with you very soon. A wee bit of video stuff. You can actually, for those of you that don't know what we look like or what our bikes really look like, we've got a good chance to see us and on the bikes. Cool.
That's when the numbers will decline.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Or they might go up, worryingly even more so.
Who knows? Yeah. If anybody's got a slightly roundish Scottish men fetish, then maybe we could make a wee side.
I think they call them dad bods.
Dad bods, yeah.
I think that's a technical term for it, according to TikTok.
The way I feel right now with this, how freezing cold I think you're missing an E out of that. Dead bod. There we go.
If you get that stage, we'll turn the heating back on.
That's it.
Which would be criminal, considering it's 20-something degrees.
I'll just stick my legs out the window. It's fine.
I know, and you're like, that's when the rain would come back on.
Absolutely. Here we go.
Cool. Okay. Let's do my favourite bit of this. Is getting to my favourite bit.
Thump your wee rubber pad. Go.
Time for the news. It's not so much the thumping of the rubber pad, it's just the time for the news.
Yes, very good. Yes.
This is the BBC.
That's what we should actually have an effect where it just goes all crackly like patty.
Oh, that'd be good. Absolutely.
So, first up, new 2021 MV Augusta Rush, which just it sounds. I just instantly thought 70s rock band, but that's again.
Roll the bones, roll the bones.
It's just my age, mate.
Yeah, I know, absolutely.
It's a reworked engine from obviously the previous Rush, producing a 205 brake horsepower, but more importantly, it's now Euro 5 compliant, which is quite cool. The whole load of gizmos on it. I'm going to say gizmos. I think the technical term is sensitive electronics, but
Gizmos.
There is a whole load of sensitive electronics for lean on this thing. It's an absolute weapon. It
looks like an absolute weapon.
It looks like an absolute
I mean, I love the colour
weapon.
scheme.
I know. Well, they do talk about one of the points is the fact that the paint job, they say, is a jet inspired paint job. And you kind of look at it and go, I kind of get it. I think if it looks that good in the picture, it's going to look even better in the flesh. Because I don't think there's a bike that I haven't seen yet that I've went, it looks good. It looks good there, and then went to see it and went, ooh, no, actually that doesn't look that good. You know what I mean? Again, we talk about the Pan America, the Suzuki Katana. They all look on the picture. Go to see them actually look much better. And then there's some bikes you go and you look and you go, wow, that looks amazing. And then you see it in the flesh and you go,
absolutely.
And you need a bib.
Get the knees.
And you need a bib. It has other enhancements that I'm not going to pretend to understand, like diamond-like carbon coating on the valve buckets, which apparently is a thing. I have no idea what that is. Anyone knows what that is, feel free to let us know and try and explain it to us thickos. I'd quite happily learn what a valve bucket was. Again, family show though.
Yeah.
It comes in 186 kilograms dry. It's all in shocks, full Brembo brakes. It's got a full colour 5.5 inch TFT. Again, that fighter inspired paint job. It is a thing of beauty. You can buy a race kit for it, which takes another 2 kilograms off it and boosts the BHP up to 209. However, there's no mention at this point whether that retains the street legality of riding it, or if that's just for if you're buying it for doing track.
For doing track, yeah.
Now, the old version cost a whopping £32,280. So you can imagine this one's going to be slightly pricier. They haven't told us yet, but slightly pricier. However, don't worry if you don't have a spare 30 grand. There's only 300 getting made. Same as the old version, so we can't really complain. But
You know, I was going to hold off to Christmas to get it as well, but I'll miss out now.
I know.
What a shame.
You just need to buy a Steve McQueen thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But aye, so there you go.
Nice.
Next up, Ian.
Next up, guess what? I'm going to be talking about. That's right. There's a new Triumph.
In fairness, that was my fault. I do know you like talking about them, so I do highlight them and say that.
I do love Triumph, right? You know I love Triumph, right? Still bitterly disappointed that the Glasgow franchise isn't there just now. But there we go. The new 2021 Triumph Speed Twin. Because there's Speed Twins, there's Speed Triples, there's all these things. This is the new Speedmasters, yeah. And the Speed Twin. So this is an updated version of the Speed Twin. Slight changes to the engine, suspension, and a couple other bits. And again, it is now Euro 5.
Yes.
Compliant. So and it brings more power with that.
I think the only reason I go yes is because the amount of bikes that I've seen lately that are just stopping production. Like good bikes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just the manufacturers are just going, we're not going to make it Euro 5 compliant. It's too much like hard work. We'll just bin it. So, yeah, good on Triumph. Yeah.
So, they've reduced the weights of the components inside the engine and it's reduced the inertia, but it allows the bike to rev higher, which is pretty nice. It means from the 1200 parallel twin, you now get 98.6 brake horsepower, which isn't quite the same as the previous bike we're talking about, but they're not different beasts, obviously. At 7,250 RPM and an 82.6 pound-foot torque at 4250 RPM. On top of that, they still managed to get away with 10,000 miles before its first major service. And when I bought my Triumph, I couldn't believe that it was 10,000 miles between. I mean,
that's like a car. That's like a modern car.
Or a year, but they get you in the year thing anyway because I never do 10,000 miles in the bike. I'd probably do 10,000 miles if it was a big touring bike I had, but no. You're not that wee thing for commuting and scooting about,
No, no in your first year and a half.
Maybe a good big question would be how practical is it to have a bike as your first and only mode of transport?
Can you? I think that's on the list.
I think it could be. Yeah.
I think you raised that before.
I probably did.
Or someone raised it before. Can you have just your bike as a mode of transport? Watch the space.
Yeah, we'll find out. Yeah, they've upgraded the forks, the brakes, and the alloy wheels, which now come standard with Metzler Race Tech RR tyres, which get great reviews. It weighs 126 kilos wet, and will start at 11,000, which is 300 more than the last model. But to be fair, only 300 more for a more powerful, kind of leaner bike's nice, isn't it?
Aye, and I just realised I did another typo in that.
Did you?
Aye. What did I say? What did I say? It was wet.
126.
It's 216.
216.
I
read it right, and I went,
aye,
126.
That's like wafer thin. I bet you. John's mongrel isn't even 126. Not 216.
I kind of went, is it the new 2021 Triumph Speed Twin or is it the new Vespa? Wait a minute here. And
I'm terribly sorry.
Terribly sorry,
listeners.
That's like the Bill Clinton, Bill Cosby thing yesterday. Did you see that?
No. Do we really want to be gone there?
But we can go there very quickly because the newsreader in America was standing up and was outside the court saying, and Bill Clinton has been set free from his court case. And the BBC had to make a big apology then. I always like it when the BBC make an apology.
Just when you said, will we go there quickly with Bill Clinton? The first thing that came to my head was, that's what she said.
That's what she said, aye. It will have the usual black version there at a cost. Also in deep red. Or as a favourite, you can get it in grey and yellow, which is my kind of colours. Grey and yellow. Yeah,
I know.
Absolutely. Love all that. And it hits the showrooms in August. So if you're looking to upgrade your Triumph and that's your kind of bike, definitely worth a wee goosey gander.
And I do like the Speed Twin. It has that kind of retro-y kind of vibe about it. Mm-hmm. Definitely a nice bike.
There's an interesting article in Bike, I think it was the most recent Bike, about people that collect bikes and that thing between collecting bikes and riding bikes, and how many bikes is too many bikes when really a bike's supposed to be ridden. But if you've got and it's obviously it's people with loads of money, right? And like your James Mays and all that in the world that have got garages full of bikes. But
Aye, if I won the lottery,
to be fair,
I'd be a bike collector.
Aye, so
Because every time I pick up a copy of MCN or Bike Magazine or Ride or whatever and see a new bike, I would go, ooh. I'd have probably had about 4 of those Steve McQueen bikes already.
I know, so good.
And that's just the Triumph one. Never mind the fella down south that makes them. The Scramblers, can't remember what they're called. Begins with an M.
Can't mind.
Sally or something they're called. Anyway.
Cool. Anyway, hits the showrooms in August. Speed Twin.
Happy days.
There you go. As I bang the table now. See, no cup to bang because it's over there. So I just bang the table.
There's still time.
Still time.
New Zontas Triple. So anyone that's not familiar with Zontas, it is Zontas, isn't it? They are more. It's a Chinese brand, more renowned for little smaller bikes, usually little 125s. However, they are branching out. They have created a triple engine that will put them firmly in the 650cc world, but they're also creating a 1000cc version.
It's a very cool looking wee bike, to be fair.
It's and albeit that's their concept, you know what I mean. However, if they build it like that, it's I don't know about the aerofoil kind of wing things on the actual.
I love them. I think they're amazing.
Do you?
I honestly do. But then I've gone kind of full Tron looking at it. Do you know what I mean? So
it is very Tron actually, and if it came in yellow.
The saddle, to be fair, and if you get a chance to look it up, folks, online, have a look. The saddle does look like it would slice you in half right now, but from that image,
it's almost
wider.
It's almost as if that's a giant handle for somebody to pick it up, go broom broom way.
Absolutely,
which is again weird.
Maybe they used an Evel Knievel stunt bike as the prototype model for the design.
I don't know, but again, and it's not even so much.
Come to a big turn of wheel to get it started.
This new triple engine, there's not much detail on it at the minute, but it is believed that it's going to be at the 120 degree angle. So that's the same as MV Agusta and Triumph's triples. So they take 240 degrees in between each fire. So again, that's interesting that they're actually just making a triple. And almost, I don't want to say replicating because that cheapens it, but they're looking at Triumph, they're looking at MV Agusta and going, that for them, this gives us the best output. So let's make it the same. Yeah,
and I mean, if there's one thing that Chinese, Japanese, and manufacturers and that are brilliant at doing for everything, and I don't just mean motorcycles, I mean everything, is copying. And then improving on that, I mean, years ago, I used to look at like Yamaha as a perfect example, and their musical instruments. They would take like the concept of a Stradivarius and copy it, make it a Yamaha one, and all of a sudden you get this incredible instrument. Because they're so good at copying and then refining. And that's clearly what they're going for.
That is what they're trying to target. Now, what they are saying is that this new engine is going to have a slightly higher compression ratio of 3.5 to 1, which is higher than the Triumph and the MV Agusta. So it means, that indicates that actually performance-wise, it's going to be that little bit greater.
And that's what they're doing. They're taking that
and just tweaking it to try and get it that wee bit better. However, again, as a concept, it looks phenomenal. If that engine performs as well as they're talking about,
it's probably one of the most space agey type bikes you would see. If they bring it out looking even,
if it's half of that bike, it'll be a lovely looking bike. Because I don't think there's anything else out there that kind of fits that market. It has that kind of sporty look to it, and I
would hope with it being a Chinese company, the prices would be pretty competitive.
I would have thought.
I would imagine so.
It depends how much cost goes into the R&D for that triple engine. But yep, lovely looking thing. So if you get a chance, look it up.
Last up.
Yes.
Now this is not a new bike, and it's a new route, but obviously it's not a new route because the route's always been there. But
from the Roman times,
all roads lead to Northumberland. This is the Northumberland 250. So a couple called David Cook and his partner Ella, who live in Northumberland, have created a 250-mile loop from the North Pennines to Berwick upon Tweed. They obviously haven't gone out there and laid roads and tarmac and everything. Do you know what I mean? That's,
Which would have been super impressive.
That would have been
That would have been
fantastic
amazing.
news there. But they've obviously charted out and mapped this 250-mile route. Charted.
That's a good word.
It's good, isn't it? Huh?
Charted.
It's like kind of the. I was going to say the Wilson Pickett line, but Wilson Pickett is obviously a soul singer. You know what I mean?
You think Wilson Phillips?
No, Wilson Phillips that's even worse. The Wilson Phillips line. Just they were going to do the Wilson Phillips line, but then he said, "We'll just hold on for one more day."
Oh,
Sorry.
Hang on.
Thank
There
you.
you go.
Yeah, the Mason Dixon line is what I was thinking of, which is
That's not miles away from either of those.
I know, but it gives you that sense of explorers out there charting away at this, this undiscovered country. But actually, it's 250 miles round about Northumberland, which is beautiful, beautiful countryside.
Aye.
Absolutely stunning. And if you're listening from somewhere else in the world, and you come over to the UK, hire a bike and go around Northumberland, it's absolutely beautiful.
Aye, it's the north. It's probably north as you can get because Berwick upon Tweed.
Yeah,
it's changed hands between England and Scotland over the years.
It's as north as you can go in England.
Aye,
Yeah.
but it's
And it is on the kind of back shoulder of the country, getting in towards Edinburgh, so on that side.
on the east side.
Yeah, east coast, exactly. So it covers the stunning coastlines and the Northumberland National Park.
That's the one.
The route has 50 points of interest, including castles and waterfalls. So take your camera equipment if you're a photographer, take your film and stuff. If you've got a cheeky wee drone there, make sure it's sub 250 grams so you can skirt around the law.
Take your budgie smugglers in your swimsuit.
Exactly,
The
yeah.
waterfalls.
And they put a guide in place for all the places you can eat and drink and stay should you want to break it up or do it twice. Yeah.
Which went do it one way,
Do
still
it one
burn
way,
and do
so-
it back the other way.
And all that's included. And the couple want it to be an alternative to the NC 500s, which is the North Coast 500, which is obviously the big one in the north of Scotland, up around the top of Scotland, which again is a phenomenal route. And any bikers probably know that's probably one of their bucket lists. So I think they probably want to make this Northumberland 250 a kind of bucket list route for people.
By all accounts, the North Coast 500 just now is absolutely chaotic with
But
bikes.
I would imagine, especially with all your kind of virus stuff, staycation stuff. I mean, I wouldn't want to go anywhere near it. In fact, I was chatting with a friend. Big shout out to Donald. How you doing, mate? I was chatting with him today. Hadn't seen him for 20 years. Fantastic wee bit of catch up with somebody who's from Lewis originally, and he says that Lewis is just it's like
mental.
It's like a traffic jam, And he said, it's just the islanders are going crazy because people are just over there, camper vans, bikes, everything. Just just
Not so much
crazy.
on that, but just actually own the fact that you've not seen them for 20 years.
Huh?
And I saw you put up a thing on Facebook about,
That's right, yeah.
about how you'd reconnected with them through Facebook. That's pretty cool, actually. Because I know that's not what Facebook was initially designed for, but it was designed to try and keep in touch with people. And the fact that you've reconnected with someone at that time, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It kind of restores my faith in social media slightly.
It's nice to remind you people that actually there is good things that come from these platforms as well.
Aye.
You know
It's
what
not all about Boney M's Rasputin.
No.
Yeah.
I've got an image there, but I've actually been to the palace where Rasputin was killed in St. Petersburg.
I wonder where you were going there.
Fascinating, right?
Oh, is
Absolutely fascinating. And we digress slightly, but it's a fascinating story.
See, I'd love to go there.
It is really good. So yeah, the route is available as a digital download for free. Right.
Best price ever.
The best price ever. You can download it for free, but you can get a printed copy for £7.50. So please do check it out at www.nland250.com. www.nland250.com.
The damp and the coffee's kicked in.
That's it, exactly. The damp and the caffeine. There we go. And the painkillers have kicked in.
And the painkillers. The painkillers, the caffeine and the wetness.
And the antibiotics that I'm not allowed to drink on. Boo, hiss. So
And have you not got beer ready?
aye.
Oh,
I'll bring some over.
that's soul destroying.
I know. It doesn't travel well on a bike. I'd have to bring it over in a car.
You hear rattling all the way here.
I know. But I quite fancy that wee inland. So maybe myself and Darren might just take a wee trip down because we're not that far away.
We are not that far
Actually,
away.
to be fair, we could probably maybe do a wee bit of that and maybe do a wee special podcast.
Aye, couple of hours and you could be you could be in Berwick and go back the way and do it back the way.
Yep,
You know what I mean?
absolutely. So,
And you could easily do that. Find someone to stop.
and do you know that'd be a really good
back.
podcast to get a couple of guests on it, because we could we'll record it on the road. You know, I've got all the portable stuff we can do that with, so it'll be cool.
Podcast on the go.
Guess on the go, yeah.
Right, let's just pack up and go. Or Canny, you're damp.
I'm down.
And you've no waterproof gear with you, just
Yeah,
in case the rain comes on.
I'm
again.
I'm in Darren's cave and I'm just too moist just now.
Family show. And that was the news and then some.
The big question.
This week's big question.
If your bike's not down, you're not coming in.
Which isn't really a question
It's
when we
not really a
thought,
question,
about,
but we
when we thought about it, but aye, we're thinking,
We said bike
have
security.
you got trainers on?
You got trainers, yeah. You map it.
If your bike's not down, you're not coming. It's house trainers, you're not getting in, mate.
So bike security.
Bike
Yeah.
security.
Yeah, so that's the very loose veil of security. It was like that.
I know. We were trying to make bike security sexy, but it just wasn't happening.
No. Never.
Yeah, so according to Bennett's Insurance, basic security, even a cheap disc lock, makes your bike 3 times less likely to be stolen. Did you know that, Ian?
I did not know that.
You do
Darren.
now.
I
See?
do now. See?
When looking for security, particularly chains, padlocks, disc locks, etc., then you always should look for the sold secure. We don't always have to look for the sold secure, but you should look for the sold secure rating. So the sold secure rating is a testing house for security products, and it is owned and administered by the Master Locksmiths Association, which I never even knew there was a thing.
Well, there's a master association for everything, to be honest, but that does sound like the kind of people who would be quite good at testing locks. I don't know.
It sounds like some sort of.
I mean, if they turned around and
sounds
said
like it's right up there with the magic circle.
yeah, if they said it was owned and administered by the Master Pastry Association, I'd maybe think that the ratings would be a wee bit dubious.
Aye, that's true.
Tasty, but dubious. You know?
Aye, it's a silver rating, however, gold for taste and a nice
Exactly.
creamy.
Yes, then it's it,
Brown
but the trouble is it
crust
just
top.
crumbles a bit much under pressure. So
Now, while based in the UK, I couldn't find whether that was recognised worldwide or whatever, and whether there was some sort of company or something similar in like the US or Europe or whatever. Now, there is some companies though that are based in the US that do refer to the sold secure rating, so I'm assuming that it is kind of recognised across the piece. However, you know what I mean. Now, they are non-profit. They work with companies, the media, the Home Office, the police and the public to maintain the latest details on all the equipment that they test, which they charge a fee back to the manufacturers to test it, and then they give it their rating. So it's not as if, I mean, they are a non-profit organisation, but they're the companies that make the stuff actually pay for it. We digress. There is 4 ratings: bronze, silver, gold, and on very rare occasion, diamond. Now, diamond level being for certain trackers and cylinder lock products, and that doesn't cover everything. Okay.
I'm currently singing Diamond or a bit Girl's Best Friend in my head there. But trying to put
Of all the songs with diamond in it, that's the one you went to.
Yeah, totally. But I was trying to reword it so that it's like to do with a lock in my head and to be like super quick and clever and quirky, and it's not going to.
Aye.
There you go.
Caffeine drugs have since weared off, which
Absolutely.
in the space of 2 minutes. So if it has a rating, then we'll share that with you as we go through. And if you want to check out if you've got your own product, or not your own product, but if you've got your own product listening, send it to us and we'll test it.
Absolutely.
But if you've already bought a chain or whatever and you want to check what your kind of rating is, if you don't know, then head over to www.soldsecure.com and check it out for yourself.
Because there's loads of chains out there, and a lot of those, you know.
And I'll be honest, the Sold Secure website's not the most friendliest of websites. It does take a little bit. Once you understand how you search for stuff, then it becomes a bit easier. But initially I was like, oh, what? This is just
not user friendly, is it?
not the most user-friendly website I've ever worked on.
Okay. Right, so first up, big thick chains, locks, and ground anchors.
Is that taken over from long strokes?
Yeah, well, it's just being added.
Ground
Ground
anchors.
anchors.
Which, and then ironically, the first one coming up,
I know.
just
You're
I'm
gonna
scared. I'm scared.
It's the Oxford Beast. Brrr.
which does kind of fit into our actual initial question. It's the Oxford Beast.
It's the Oxford Beast 22mm chain. Yep, the Oxford Beast 22mm chain, which is essentially a big thick chain with a nice kind of waterproof cover over it. And it says in bright white letters Oxford, because everything that Oxford does pretty much has bright white letters on it. It says Oxford. But, good budget, quality products really from Oxford. 22mm diameter links, and it comes in a 1.5 or a 2 metre length. It weighs from 12 kilos up to 15 kilos, so it's not the kind of thing you want to be carrying about with you in your back.
It's not. That's not going to fit into a basic jivvy top box.
No, absolutely not.
Or a tank
So,
bag.
as we've so kindly written down here, it's a heavy old beast. Heavy old beast. So the Sold Secure motorcycle diamond rating, though. So boom,
We're
That's
going,
one thick sucker.
we're going in big early.
we're going
You know
big
what I mean?
early. We've hit you with a diamond straight away. We'll hit you with a sparkle.
Straight in, whip the beast out. There you go, diamond rating.
Family show.
Family show.
And this is your lock up at night protection. Yeah, let's be honest, it's sitting in the garage or wherever you're locking it up. You wouldn't carry that about with you. And the prices range from 150 to £215, depending on the size and retailer. Yeah. So I think probably this is an indication of security ain't cheap, which is not cheap.
Not on that side of things, no.
No,
not
absolutely not.
when you're getting the big gold sticker on it, the big diamond
Big
sticker.
diamond sticker. So 150, £250. So yeah, absolutely. But with that comes the Oxford Beast lock. Yep. So this is designed obviously to fit.
I wouldn't say it comes with it.
No, not
in the
comes
price.
with it. No, it's not with it. It comes with it in terms of the range.
Yes,
the
the
range. Yeah.
range,
So
yes.
it's the Oxford Beast lock. I do like the colour scheme though, black and yellow.
Yes, I thought you might.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The Beast lock is 3.6 kilos heavy, 3.6 kilograms, or about 7 odd pounds for the.
That's like a gym workout, just lifting that up to put, lifting that and the chain. You know what I mean, you could cancel.
£8, but I would say it's at least about £8 in weight.
thereabouts,
Yeah,
aye.
there you go.
You could cancel your gym membership just
Aye,
by
just
locking and unlocking your bike twice a week.
And it's designed to resist angle grinder attack. I mean, it does look like a small kind of plutonium container or something, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's the kind of thing you'd see Doc Brown bigging out the back of the DeLorean, right?
Aye, I was going to say something else, which I'll tell you when we're off air.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of what it looks like.
Yep. And you can see this also earns the Sold Secure diamond rating, and it's another £150 direct from Oxford. You probably could shop around. You might find it this way.
30 mil hardened pin.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? That's
it's just
that's size.
it's a lot of pin. Let's put it that way.
Aye, that's aye.
So there you go. So if you get the Oxford Beast chain and you get the Beast lock, you are what, 360 odd quid to secure your bike. Ouch.
But again, depending on your situation of where you lock your bike up, that might be the difference between you waking up to the bike being there or the bike not being there.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And if they are trying to steal your bike with that on it, you will hear them dragging it down the street. And actually, you probably be able to follow the indent in the pavement as they've dragged it down the street because it would tear up tarmac.
Passing 2 or 3 people who are nursing their hernia on the way. You know what I mean? So
Aye, maybe a group of them.
there we go. So that's it. That's our first chain.
And our second one is
Chain of fools. That'll be the ones that try and lift the chain up. There we go. Chain. Chain. So I had to finish it. Sorry.
I know. I know. I was going to go. Yes. Although you notice the diamond rating stuff actually is quite innuendo based, because our next product is the Pragmasis Titan.
To try.
I know, the Pragmasis Titan. Again, it's another 22mm chain. Again, diamond star rating. It's a link chain. Again, comes with I wouldn't even say it's fluorescent orange. It's more of a kind of opaque orange weather protective cover. Comes in 1.2 or 1.8 meter lengths.
It's the kind of orange that you could potentially get a pair of chinos with from Marks and Spencer's if you're 87 years old.
And like going on a cruise.
Like going on a cruise with boating shoes.
Boating shoes. it comes with a standard link, or you can get it with a round lock link.
Try saying that when you've had
Try saying that when you've had some coffee and some build. The Titan weighs 8.5 kilograms per meter. So if you get the 1.8 meter version, it weighs 15.3 kilograms. So run about the same as what the Oxford Beast does. Prices start at £190 and go up to £250. You can get it in different diameters. So if that's too expensive, you can get a 19mm or a 16mm or a 13mm Titan. So you can obviously lower your budget. Yeah, you are lowering the security, but I think even those are still either gold or diamond rated, so it's still quite good from that perspective.
Yeah, cool.
Now, that's just the chain. If you want to lock it, you need to get the Pragmatis round lock.
It's interesting. It doesn't look as cool as the Oxford one, does it?
It doesn't. No, it's very unconsuming.
It looks like something that's fallen off my brewing equipment from my beer.
It does look like one of those fancy things you could put in a bottle of wine.
Aye, so does I.
Keep the air from getting it. But not much to say about it. It's a 21mm thick round lock, priced at 40 quid. This specific round lock needs to be used in conjunction with the round lock end chain.
Right.
It weighs 530 grams, so it is much lighter than that one. And as we'll come on to later, it also has a little hidden secret, which we can pick up on later on as we go through.
I love a hidden secret.
Remember the round lock.
Yep. Sorry, what was it to remember?
Round lock.
Oh, right, okay. Sorry, I'd forgotten that.
You were just thinking about the beast.
I was thinking about the beast.
Okay.
Okay. So, next up, we have home anchors. So, and yes, I did say that correctly.
That's why that's why I got you to say that.
Yes. So for home security with any chain, large, medium or small, a ground anchor is another layer of defence. Either bolt down or concrete in types are great, and while sold secure only rate them up to gold level, there are a few. Our preference for existing concrete is the Kryptonite Stronghold.
Which again, had this been a after Watershed non-family show, I had a whole load of things running through my mind.
I bet you did. You still do, you just can't say them.
Yes.
It's big at around 19 centimetres or 7.5 inches diameter and 4.2 centimetres or 1.65 inches height and weight, and it weighs nearly 3 kilograms, yeah? It is a 16mm hardened carbon alloy steel shackle for connecting to. And the price is around 90 to 100 quid, but it's always shop about. Yep. Concrete anchors are around £50, but factor in you'll need to buy concrete and mix and set it all. So.
Can I just say something, right? And we'll try and keep this within the boundaries of our normal
common decency.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you actually just read, if you take those last three sentences, right, and you didn't know that we were talking about ground anchors.
What, it's big and around?
It's big and around 19 centimetres or 7.5 inches in diameter and 4.2 centimetres or 1.65 inches in height and weighs nearly 3 kilos, and it's got a hardened carbon alloy shackle. You could be talking about anything that you potentially order off one of those sites that turns up in a brown box. Who knew that there was... We've already had the Titan, the Beast,
I blame the copywriter for this.
and a Stronghold.
Aye.
I never really thought this through when I was thinking security's a bit dull. Actually, security's got a hidden underworld.
Security's a wee bit racy. For no moving anything, it's racy.
I'm just thinking, have I checked the right sites here? Have I looked at the right products here? Because this does sound a bit...
To be fair, the picture does make it just look like a big lock. Do you know what I mean? You know.
Aye, it does. And I mean...
If you're listening to this podcast, please Google the images of the Kryptonite lock so that you know that what we're talking about is exactly a legitimate, decent...
Yes.
Very, very effective security.
Yes. And have a look at the Oxford Beast lock and you will understand the plutonium casing reference.
Yep.
And there probably will be another reference in there that you will automatically come to if you are wired in any way weirdly like we are.
Yep.
One other security device that I wanted to call it was for anyone that has a garage or a shed. There is a thing out there called a guardsman barrier. And the only reason I'm calling this out is because I have seen someone use them, and they are quite impressive. However, they aren't cheap. They are very expensive, but it is full on professional. So at £599.99. Ooh, aye.
Ouch.
Yep, I know. It not only looks great, but it's a massive deterrent. It has crazy fixings into the ground. It comes professionally installed and all that kind of stuff. It's a full-on proper bit of kit. So if you had a couple of bikes in a garage and you wanted to have that added layer of protection, you put this massive steel barrier in, because that's essentially what it is. It's a massive, super strong steel barrier. Now,
I suppose, mind you, if you've got a couple of bikes, you know, if you're going to spend £300 on security for each of the bikes, £600 for both of them is
exactly.
actually not
If you
as...
see, logic. When you're not using it and you need to get a bike out, it literally just kind of concertinas in on itself into like a kind of 1 metre or so long arm that just folds straight up,
Right.
so that it's just like a barrier and it literally is at the way. So you don't need all the height clearance, because it actually just goes and like a giant selfie stick,
Oh, cool.
and then you can kind of pop it up. It comes with a 10-year guarantee, and B-Moto offer a discount on your insurance if you've got one installed. And I imagine that others will probably follow suit
Yeah, probably.
as they start to go through them.
Is it quite a new product?
I don't know how. I only saw it probably 2 years ago, and that's the first time and the only time I'd ever seen anyone.
It kind of
using
makes sense. It's one of these things where you kind of look and go, oh, that actually makes sense. Stick a
Aye.
big bar up in front of your
Now,
garage.
if you don't have a garage and you've got a shed, for example,
Mhm.
that you keep your bike in, they do a smaller version, which is a shed version, which again is about half the price.
All right, cool.
But it's still, again, it's like a big it's concrete and big pillar and all that kind of stuff. So it's quite good for that point of view. Now, YouTube sensation, I'm going to call it out in case he ever listens. I doubt he'll ever listen, but YouTube sensation, the Mizzen Flyer.
we could tag him in it though, just in the
We
hope
should
to see.
actually just tag him in on it. But yeah, the Mizzen Flyer. If you haven't seen his YouTube channel, go and check it out. He does bike reviews and all that kind of good stuff. Top bloke is Andy. Very, very funny. He has one of these in his garage, but he does have about 5 bikes.
Aye.
Right? And then he has bikes on loan for manufacturers and all that kind of stuff. So he kind of not has to have it, but he needs that added security. And he lives away down south where crime obviously is slightly higher. So if you want to see one, go and check out his page. He does a little video on how it all works and stuff, which is quite cool. And I think he actually does a discount as well with
That'll
him.
be linked from his
So
YouTube channel.
I think
Cool.
if you link for there to, the company, I think you get 50 quid off it or something like that. So it's just quite, that's quite substantial. But if not, head over to www.image4, as in the number 4, security.com and see for yourselves, or just go into Google and look up guardsman barrier. But they're very, very cool.
Nice. So that's certainly pretty more kind of permanent stuff we're talking about.
Aye.
At the home, security at
home.
home. So next it's on the move. Lighter options that.
Can I just say
take on the
something?
go. Yes.
I'm glad, because could you imagine carrying one of the big guardsmen when you were out on the bike, like a jousting stick?
But you could put a camera in the end of it.
Oh,
See, aye.
been there.
Been there, done
Aye.
that. Doing it again
Sorry.
tomorrow.
Carry on.
So lighter options that can be taken on the go. So what about a chain that you can throw in your rucksack or top box? So let's look at a couple. So we're back to Pragmasis. And the Pragmasis Protector 13mm chain.
Again, sounds really rude.
Yes. But it's a solid, secure motorbike gold rated chain. So for something you're on the move, you're only one step down from diamond. It's it's pretty decent. Like for instance, I was out in the west end of Glasgow today, parked the bike up, and thought, and most of these bike places, when you've got, especially in Glasgow, you've got free bike parking, and there's always somebody to put a chain on your bike round. So instead, if it's handy enough to carry around, then it's definitely worth bringing with you. At a cost of approximately 60 quid for the 1.5 metre chain, you can get various sizes, smaller and much larger. So there's certainly loads of different options. 1.5 metre chain comes in a respectable 4.5 kilos in weight, so it works about 3 kilos per metre, Yeah, and this is just the chain. If you go for the link chain, you can use the Pragmatis round lock we discussed before, or you could buy a normal U-lock. Yeah, but the round lock's quite cool. If you go for the noose chain version, the round lock won't work.
So a standard link clearly will not work. But if you go for the round lock, which if you think about it, if you buy the big one for the garage and a round lock, and then you buy the protector, the 13mm, and take that when you're out, you could just literally unlock the bike and take the actual round lock with you.
Cool. Yeah.
And hook it in.
Which
so
smaller is much better 'cause it's only 500 grams, isn't it? So
exactly.
The links are 13mm hardened steel, and it comes with a tough protective sleeve. Yep. There you go.
Sounds quite racy.
It does sound a bit racy. Although, to be fair, when I heard tough protective sleeve, I just thought that's a really good way to constantly wipe your nose. I didn't go racy. I just went minging. That's it.
The Malenko, is that Coraline?
It's Coleraine. If it's pronounced the same as the place in Ireland, it's Coleraine.
Ah.
There you go.
The Malenko Coleraine 12mm chain with lock. Notice the with lock.
That's good.
Again, this is another sold secure gold rated product and also has the police recommended stamp on it. So at the time of recording this, Malenko had the 1.4 metered version on sale at £67, which was 30% off. It's normally about the £100 mark. At a total weight of 4.8 kilos, again, remember it's got the lock on it, it's still fairly light for what it is. Now, assuming you have a top box, not sure how long you would potentially go with that in a rucksack. Do you know what I mean? But if you've got a top box or a panny or whatever, you can just throw it in there, quite a thing. Hardened in temper, chrome molloy steel gives a brilliant strength. A tough protective sleeve around the chain helps protect the bike. I had to concentrate there. Protective sleeve. Protective sleeve. This is probably one of my favourites. It's up there. And would definitely make my short list for a potential next purchase. Not only is it solid, it's good value, but it also looks quite good because I quite like the blue against the yellow, and the lock's kind of all encased and stuff like that. So it's probably visually it's probably as much of a deterrent because because you're looking at it going, oh, yeah, if I'm a would-be thief. And I don't know how thieves think, but a would-be thief would go, oh, that's an all-encased lock. Don't really need the hassle of trying to get into that. Oh, there's one there with a normal U-lock. I'll just angle grind that or hacksaw or whatever it is today. So, So that's the bonus for me on that one.
Nice. Yeah, it does look really cool. And actually, it's something I would maybe consider as well. To be fair, it's. And I think the big thing for me is
it's yellow.
It's yellow, but it comes with a lock. It comes with a lock.
It's the whole thing's and if you're in the market right now, again they've got 30% off, so it's 60 odd quid. That's a bargain.
Absolutely. Now they're still 4 or 5 kilos. These chains.
They're still light.
You're not going to carry that kind of over your shoulder for a long period of time if you're going for a bit of run. So if space or weight is an issue, then this might be an option for you. It's the Light Lock Moto 108, which is $139.99. And if you haven't seen it, it looks like a big fabric belt, right? So it's essentially, if you imagine you get one of these big, when you way back in the day, there was the Livestrong yellow bands that you wore around your wrist.
Aye.
Yeah, and lots of companies now use them for like events and all that.
Yeah.
It looks a bit like one of them, only on steroids to fit on your bike.
To fit or your waist, but the size of that thing.
Your waist, yeah. And it's got a wee kind of crisscross pattern that looks vaguely Celtic, but it's really just a wee crisscross pattern.
It also looks reflective.
Yep.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, it does look reflective. I would like to think that's another deterrent, especially at night. If thieves are looking about a lock, they'll see that. I'm not going to try and go for that. So
here are that highlights that is there, and they go.
So if you've got a waist less than 40.5 inches, then you could carry it just like that, like a belt. Wear it like a bit of fashion.
Hold your trousers up.
And hold your bike in place. Under its neoprene material, though, lives what Lightlock call the Flexi Core. Yep. Made up of a series of... There's something there we could do with Flexi Core, isn't there?
Oh, it sounds like
Flexicore.
it sounds like a gym class.
I know. Under
I'm doing-
neoprene material, welcome to Flexicore class.
Saturday mornings, I'm doing FlexiCore followed by Pilates.
Exactly, made up of a series of, just move on, a series of cables made from a high tensile alloy with a rubber coating over them. It's essentially it's lots and lots of thin wee kind of steel cables.
Aye, that's exactly what it looks like. It's like a, if you've ever seen like a braided power cord,
Yeah.
kind of like a big steel power
That they're
cord.
using cable cars and things like
Aye, that kind of thing. But it's obviously, rather than being like round, it obviously is
Flat.
a lot smaller, and they try and kind of flatten it out so that it's, but it's quite cool. Quite cool.
It makes the thing very bendy. The lock casing is made from hardened alloy with marine grade rivets in it. So obviously, marine grade rivets are clearly good
I would imagine waterproof,
and probably
non-susceptible to rust.
exactly. I would imagine a corrosion based protection there as well.
Yes.
So probably very good for something like Scotland, where it peas it in.
Only
But only in between your
only
two
in between where
destinations.
you live and where
Yeah,
I live.
well, exactly. Just like a normal chain, you can connect more light locks together using the locking mechanism to give you a large light lock. A large light lock. Light lock. But the big bonus for the particular device, you can roll it up so it can take up very little space, and it weighs next to nothing at 1.46 kilograms. So
And they literally, it gets quite, you know that way when you start rolling something up, like a, I'm going to say like a Tunnocks tea cake wrapper,
yes,
and you start rolling it up, and then you go, I could get that tighter, and then you unravel it, and then you go, I could get it really tighter and tighter. It kind of is like that. It's properly flexy.
So it's definitely a wee bit different from just your traditional chains and all that, but probably something that's probably pretty flexible in terms of use as well as in terms of its actual physical makeup.
I wouldn't. Again, it's more for on the go. I don't think I'd use it.
I think it's on the go, and it's
definitely on the
probably
go.
it's probably one of the, I mean, I could be wrong. Did this one doesn't have a secure lock rating?
No, it's gold.
Or did it?
Aye.
Did I say that?
No, you didn't.
No.
But it's on the picture.
So it is sold secure motorcycle gold. So you still got that level of security, but
Which is a bonus.
yeah, bonus.
Bonus.
Cool. There you go.
Disc locks.
Disc.
Now, I'm going to come back full circle to the beginning. Remember we talked about the Progmasis round lock? If you bought one of those with your home chain, you can actually use it as a disc lock. So, again, it's around 40 quid, like we said before, and you can literally fit it between, ka-ching, and use it as a disc lock.
That's good, isn't it? That
So
is
if you
nice.
bought one of those with your big chain for the garage or shed or wherever you park the bike, when you take it off, you can just use that as a disc lock when you're out and about, which is quite clever. Very clever. The only thing I will say is it doesn't fit all BMW brake discs. So that's the only thing.
So,
So if you've got a BMW, maybe
Yeah.
just check that out beforehand.
does it? Are they saying it fits as other manufacturers that we know of that maybe?
Yes, it's just certain BMWs.
But everything else
it
should
just doesn't
be
fit because of the shape. You know how they've got there's small holes and then the bigger holes and all that kind
yeah.
of stuff. It doesn't quite fit in some of the
Correct.
BMWs, but everyone else doesn't seem to have a problem with them. So, again, another multi-function bit of kit that.
Cool. Then we're going to come back right full circle again back to Oxford.
Again,
They've got a 16mm disc lock, which just looks like a big padlock, right? It's sold secure gold and Thatcham approved, and I know that certainly a lot of insurance companies, if you're saying you're locking it up somewhere, they want you to use a Thatcham approved security thing. For, so if your bike gets nicked and you said you're using a Thatcham secured and you're not, then you may not be getting anything back for your insurance.
you couldn't validate your insurance.
The boss, which is called the Big Boss, also meets the police preferred specification and therefore is accredited secure by design (SBD).
Sorry, I blacked out there because when you said that, I just heard the music for Enter the Dragon.
Nice, Big Boss.
Ding, ding, ding.
However, if you play scenes from those films but using something like Chaka Khan's Smooth Operator, it gives them a completely different look. So anyway, I digress. Not cheap at £60, but it does have that 16mm shackle, and if you can't have a 16mm shackle, what can you have? That's what I say.
True. Yeah.
It weighs 600 grams, which is same as most of the big players, and like the Pragmasis, you can use it to lock up your chain at home as well, because it does look like a big padlock.
Aye.
As well, and you can get an alarm version for an extra tenner. So if people fiddle with your big boss, it will scream.
For an extra tenner though,
If an extra tenner,
for me, I would pay the extra tenner
Aye,
just to get the one that
absolutely.
squeals.
you know,
Do you know what I mean? When you try to steal it.
I mean, because I suppose for me, you could buy a wee cheap disc lock that screams and makes a noise, because you're not really buying it to secure the bike. You're just buying it to make a noise so that folk run away, because people will start looking at them.
Aye. So it's literally an audio. What's the word I'm looking for?
Deterrent.
Auditory deterrent.
Yes, that's it. Huh?
I need
You
more
heard
drink.
that right,
I need
folks.
more
You
drink.
heard that right. Auditory deterrent.
We should have concentrated on those warm ups.
Yeah.
The Squire Eager Mini Disc Lock. Again, sold secure, motorcycle gold rated, costs about £40. Made from a hardened alloy steel and armoured steel. Comes in at 668 grams, which that's slightly a little bit heavier. And it does come in more colours than just yellow. But I just thought we'd throw the yellow picture up there for Ian's benefit, because we know he does love a bit of yellow.
I like the yellow mellow.
Although the link on that, I'm not a big fan of that yellow. It's a bit kind
It's actually it's a bit watery.
I was thinking Peely Wally.
Peely Wally.
Watery
Peely
is-
Wally.
is right. Again, apologies for anyone who doesn't know what Peely Wally or watery is. I would say Google it, but that's maybe not the best idea.
No.
The link itself is a 13mm thick shackle. Again, it's probably another good versatile bit of kit, because not only could you use that as a disc lock, I can imagine you could probably use that as an actual padlock as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Yeah, so all these disc locks do look like padlocks. So if you want a more traditional looking disc lock, then fear not, there are some gold rating ones out there. They are fairly expensive though, from about £40 to £60. The Oxford Alpha XD14 is an example, and that's the one that kind of looks more like that kind of clamp thing, really, doesn't it? It looks
Aye.
like a wee mini wheel clamp type thing that goes around your disc lock. If you're
or,
adding
or a stapler.
a stapler, oh, that's a good point. A big,
A big thick pocket stapler.
the Arnold Schwarzenegger of staplers. If you're adding a disc lock as an additional layer, then you could drop to a silver rating and save some pennies.
Come on!
Additional layer. That's just terrible. How can you not? You just-
to lock the bike.
okay, sorry, but well done. If you're adding a disc lock as an additional layer, then you could drop to silver rating and save some pennies. And I think what we're saying there is, don't make disc locks your only security option on a bike. It's just another thing, a visual thing, really, to say, hey, don't steal me, steal the bike next to me that hasn't got one.
Aye. Again,
Not that we want people to steal anybody's bikes, but
no. If you've got a big monster thick chain on it, then you probably don't need a disc lock. But if it's only armed and tracked, I'd maybe throw a disc lock on it for the sake of £30.
aye, absolutely.
I would just throw it in there just as another deterrent. The only thing is don't, like some people I know, forget that they're on there and try to pull away and not go anymore.
Hence why,
And drop
obviously,
their
you
bikes.
you buy your wee silly things like the wee
You
rubber,
buy
the
your,
wee
your slinky.
slinky things. Yeah, exactly.
Aye.
You know, for a couple of quid, that's absolutely worth getting one of them just between your disc lock and your handlebars. Absolutely.
Totally.
So it's worth noting, if you buy one of the big boys, you can, and you've got your disc lock, you know, absolutely using it there. So, you know, although buying a separate disc lock, you don't really need it if you're using one of the kind of padlocky type ones.
No, and if you're buying one of the big padlocky ones for the home anyway,
The
'cause you're
Pragmasis
looking
one's
at
a
us.
really good idea, because it is still quite easy to move around, and I quite like
And it's
that.
quite the thing about the Pragmasis one is it looks quite small.
Uh-huh.
It's maybe that little picture shows you the 50 pence against it, so it's
Mhm.
probably about 3 times.
Yeah.
About
I height of three and a half, 50 pences.
50 pences kind of stacked the top one another. So it is quite small. So as a disc lock on there, it'd be really hard to get in and actually
Just get in to
cut
get
that
that
out.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So
that'd be nice and tight.
aye. Now this one always interests me, right? Which is lever and throttle locks, because this I think is a fairly, for me, this seems to be a fairly new thing. You mean it's or the
Aye.
most recent of bike
Yeah.
security. Now, lever and throttle locks are not sold secure rated yet. Okay, but as another layer of security, sticking that on, there's no harm in doing it, and especially you can get them roughly about 20 quid. Amazon have got one on there called the Ride Throttle Lock, which again, I kid you not, I'm not making that up. Again, there needs to be, I think the Master Locksmiths Association seriously need to have a set of guidelines on what these people name these things.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? I wish we had wrote a wee summary at the bottom of these. The Beast, the Titan, the Protector.
the throttle.
There's a lot of sleeves and now a throttle lock. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it gets really good ratings on Amazon. Maybe worth adding. Again, if you're adding maybe a disc lock and you want that extra layer of protection, just throw one of them on it. Or if you've got a tracker and an alarm on it, maybe get one of these and throw it on there. Again, hopefully in time they will become...
It's the crook lock for bikes, really, isn't it? Remember crook locks?
Aye.
When you put them on your steering wheel, your car,
exactly.
which you don't really see very much of now, but
Well, if you're driving away from here the night and you come out of mine and turn right, and there's a big Peugeot parked kind of almost at the zebra crossing at the bottom of the street, he always puts his crook lock on. And the amount of times and every night I walk by it and I'll see it and I'll go, I think people were still using those. But there you go. He must be an old timer. An old timer.
Old timer, you gotta use your crook lock, boy.
Yeah, and then we've talking about crook locks, that Data Tool one, what's that one called?
It's called a crook lock.
There we go. Which is either used to secure your bike or your cheap plastic shoes with holes in them.
I wondered where you were going there.
That was
My heart genuinely stopped there. It's slightly dearer. It comes in $32.95. And again, what I would say is as an extra security device, by all means, fill your boots. I don't think they're any easier or any harder to take off a bike compared to a disc lock. So just be nice to nice for the sole security to catch up and maybe start testing some of these.
Yeah, I think it's key. The key I think we're saying there is absolutely it's about slowing down how long it takes somebody to unsecure the bike. It's about slowing them down.
Aye,
if they've got to go through 4 things as opposed to 1, they're going to pick a different.
Aye, at the end of the day, if you're parking your bike up and you throw a chain on it, throw a disc lock on it, and throw a throttle lock or a crock lock or a lever lock or whatever,
One more
on
thing
there, that's 3 things that he's going to need to try and disarm. If the bike next to you has got I'm not going to say, I'll say it like a Halford's bike chain, like a bicycle chain attached to it. You mean one of these ones that kind of just, it's almost like a dog lead that just extends and then clips in. They're going to tackle that one because they know they could probably bust that with a hammer. Whereas yours, they're going to need to spend a bit of time either trying to unpick it or angle grinding it or all that kind of stuff, and they don't want that attention. So I think it's that if you can layer up and you can do it quite cheap and still be fairly secure, then that's the best approach.
Absolutely, yeah. Let's chat trackers, because obviously if they get through all this, and the bottom line is if somebody really wants your bike, they'll have a right blooming good go at getting it. So let's talk the trackers. Yeah, the Monimoto. So it's a little wee beauty that comes in 2 parts. There's a fob which you carry when you're out on your bike, nice and easy. Yeah, the main device that you plant on your bike. There's no wiring, super easy to install. You just plant it on the bike.
Perfect.
It runs on a couple of CR123A batteries, which I think are the wee kind of stumpy camera batteries, aren't they?
Aye, they're the kind of size of a...
It's like you take a double A and cut it, and then make it and then just...
Aye, it's like an old halfpence.
Aye.
Or, I don't know what the equivalent... What's a cent?
Oh, yeah, so the wee flat ones. Aye.
I think that's what they are.
I'm getting confused with them, something else. Aye, yeah, that's them. It auto arms and disarms and calls your phone in under a minute if the bike moves without detecting the fob. and it also sends you GPS location regularly if it's armed, and if no GPS, then it uses advanced positioning to approximate locations, to approximately locate where it is, and it works globally. It's £149 for the unit itself, and then £32.50 a year, or £2.70 a month for the SIM card connectivity and updating. Great if you haven't got a tracker but really want one. It's actually, I've been for £2.70 a month for the.
I know.
That's
For
give it a peace of mind.
for
Yeah.
30 quid. And it's not only that. What I like about it is you don't have to deal with the technical install, so you don't need to disconnect the battery and deal with this, right? Which some people are terrified of. I'll be honest, some people out there will be terrified to go, oh, I don't know, my wire not upright, and then what, drain my battery and all this kind of stuff, right?
Exactly.
The downside is if people know where it is, they can just take it out and boop, and you know what I mean, send it in with the fishies, right? But on the flip side, if you've got more than one bike, you could actually just, if you know that you're not going to be riding that bike this week, you're actually going to be riding your other bike, you can actually just swap it out and put it in that one.
It's a good point.
Just, you know what I mean? So it's quite versatile. I do quite like that.
Mm-hmm.
And again, for 32 quid a month, 32 quid a year, that's peanuts. For a tracker.
Absolutely.
And it calls you in under a minute. I'm not being funny, even if they pick your bike up and put it in a van, in under a minute, you get a right good chance of catching them if you've got another form of transport.
Aye, and also, but it is also, you have got a chance of catching these people, and therefore, your bike might have some damage done to it, whatever, but you're going to take some people off the road.
Aye,
you know.
Aye, totally. And again, works globally, so you're not having to worry about other kind of, will it work if I'm away and whatever. It's just, it works. Another tracker, and this is probably up the top end of the market, is the Data Tool Stealth Tracker. And the reason that I know about this is because this is what's in my bike. And I'll be honest and say I didn't go out and buy this because, well, it's stupid money. However, BMW, they fit them as standard, which is quite cool. Now, bit of research, the latest S5 model, I think mine's is the one before that, but the latest model comes in at $359.99. Ouch. However, that also includes professional fitting from an authorised fitter, an authorised data tool fitter, local to you. So you're getting your installation for it, which is quite cool.
Which is, so far, I'm thinking that's not that bad.
It's not that bad. However, you then get a yearly subscription, right? So my first year was included with my bike, but your yearly subscription is £109.
Aye, that's
which, when you look at 32 quid for the Money Moto, it's, you know what I mean, it's like, whoa. It comes with 2 rider ID tags, which you must, and I repeat, must have one of those on you at all times. The guy that sold me my bike in the showroom explicitly explained, do not leave. It comes with a lanyard. I clip mine onto my keys for my bike, right? But he says, you can clip on the lanyard, just don't ever forget to take it. I did it once, and they phoned the phone that it was registered to, which is obviously the kind of showroom's phone, and nobody answered it. Next thing I know, the police had pulled him. I thought he'd stole it. Because he'd lifted the rank fob. He'd lifted the fob for a different bike. So, again, you're paying £109,
but you know it works.
You know it works. Mm-hmm. And when I disconnected my battery to fit my Hex Easy Can and my in-off cameras, because the battery was off for a certain period of time, they actually phoned me, Data Tool, and said, by the way, your bike's flashing up with an alert, the battery's been disconnected, etc. Is everything all right? And I was like, no, it's fine, I've got the bike off, I'm actually working on it. Like, all right, that's fine, we'll cancel it. We'll cancel the alarm down. And you're going, that's quite impressive.
That is impressive, aye.
You know, I was quite chuffed with that. Yeah. You do also get a cool app which will tell you where your bike is, and it's kind of live and it's tracking your bike and stuff, which is great if you're sitting there and go, oh, I wonder where my bike is. Oh, it's in the garage where you left it, you clown. Yeah. But at least it shows up then. But it means if it gets stolen, then obviously you can see where your bike's gone without you. Like, nice. Why? Cool. Why?
But again, as you say, expensive, yeah.
I personally wouldn't have paid that amount of money for it. I would have probably went, if my bike didn't have a tracker, I would have went down the Morimoto route. However, BMW fit them as standard.
Yeah.
I have the option then to say, right, well, I'm not paying that next year, and it can just go dormant, and then I can just put a Morimoto on it if I want. But based on what I've seen so far,
You might just go for it.
I might just
resubscribe.
save the couple of quid up and pay that for another year, and then at
It
least
does-
then it's got it
It
on
does
there.
sound excellent service in terms of that risk.
I can't fault them for that. I get the fright of my life when they phoned me
Yeah.
because I had the battery off, and it wasn't even off for that long because I'd done all the wiring previous,
Right.
and it was literally a case I'd take the battery out, disconnect it, wire everything back up, pop it back on. So the battery wasn't off for that long, and they were straight on the phone to say your bike's been disconnected. Is everything all right? Do you know where the bike is? And it was like, and you had to verify it was you and all that kind of stuff, so that if your phone gets nicked, they can still tell it's you and stuff. So you're like, can't I fault that? I really can't fault that.
No, that's brilliant. That is really good. But again,
But
you're paying for it. So
aye,
you know.
if the $359.99 was your first year and the fitting, then you would go, well, actually, do you know what? Then it's no bad value for money because and imagine the fitting will probably take a good hour. So any reasonable garage, that's probably about 60 quid right away. Plus the 110 quid, you're £170. So you've already half the price of the tracker.
That is good now.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah,
But-
totally.
But again, it depends on your budget.
Yes. And talking about depending on your budget, our last option comes courtesy of one of our listeners and is a really budget friendly.
Again, if you haven't listened,
If you haven't
please
listened,
revert back to episode 5.
Yeah, so a big shout out to Dale. Dale,
Hey,
man.
Dale.
This is your security option that you kind of wrote in and let us know about, and we mentioned it in episode 5. Using an old phone and a pay-as-you-go SIM with geolocation services. So you can just pop that into your bike and track it using a different phone if your bike is lifted. Now, yes, you won't get text alerts or an app, but it's a really cost-effective way to track a stolen bike. So it's a really, really kind of quite clever, quite switched on. Yeah, if they take the seat off or whatever, you've put the phone, you know what I mean, then absolutely, you know, they'll just, as you say, let it go swim with the fishies. But
But it's the same with the Moto.
yeah, exactly. Same with
So,
anything
you
that's
know what I mean?
not
It's the
hardwired
same.
in.
And I suppose it's the same even with the big data tool. If they're clever enough and know where BMW fit them as standard,
Rip it out,
boop,
chuck-
boop,
Aye.
and just rip the whole thing, harness it, snip, 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 and it's in the bin.
Now we looked and found on Amazon the Zanco Tiny Phone, which is a 7cm tall, 2.4cm wide, and 1.3cm deep tiny phone.
It's
that size. And it's an option at 22 quid. It's small enough to hide, and if you hardwire it to charge, it won't eat your battery, you know, while you're not riding. Do you know what I mean? So, there's lots of wee phones out there, you know, and obviously you've probably got a phone line in a drawer. I think as what Dale said, if you've got an old phone line in a drawer, stick a page-you-go SIM in it and just
And just do it that way.
hardwire it that
And it's
way.
one of the ones, I think Dale did say this last time, he uses it when he's out, not when he's parked in the garage.
Aye.
If he's out and he's stopping somewhere, he can just have that on all the time and it just sits in there.
Yep,
you know what I
and
mean?
you're fine.
And as long as it's holding a charge, then you're quid's in.
Yep, cheap and effective. So, you know.
Well done, Dale.
Cheers, Dale. Big
Well
shout out to the
done,
Dale stuff.
Dale.
That's enough. He doesn't deserve that much a clap.
He did get a fair amount of the clap on episode 5.
Family show.
Alarms. Let's talk alarms. Factory fitted. You tend to be on a lot of new bikes that come factory fitted. Again, I've got a BMW one. Works fine for me. It's got a fob. You can disarm it. Arm
Was
it.
that an option or did it come
No,
as
it came,
standard?
no, it came with it on mine, on the RT. Maybe if you went for a smaller bike or a different version, that would be an option. No
Mhm.
idea. But definitely on mine, which is the RTLE. So that's the kind of middle variant. It came with it. And again, you can switch it on and off. It's just like it's like the car.
Aye.
I mean, you press the top button once, and that'll unlock your central locking. And then, but if you're already doing it, switch it disables the alarm, which is handy if you're moving a bike about. You don't want to put the key in, because the amount of times I've done that and it's which in a small garage can get quite deafening, especially if you get a bit of hangover. Not that I ever go out on a bike with a hangover. It's just not worth it. And then it's vice versa on the other side. So yeah, they're quite good. High pitched. Again, if it's coming factory fitted and you're not paying anything extra for it, then yeah, go nuts. You know what I mean? Just fill your boots. The only thing that I will say is the alarm and the tracker combined. If you're not on the bike for maybe 2 or 3 weeks, it does drain the battery voltage. So there's sometimes you'll go out and it'll try to start and then it won't, and you need to stick it on trickle for a wee couple of hours just to get enough in there to get it out of run and get it thingied. So that's the only thing I would say about those, is it can suck the joy out of the battery. But if you're using the bike all the time, not an issue.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right.
Tell us about the Triumph one, Ian.
Yeah, so and I agree, it can suck your battery and drain it, and it can do all these things, and it can go off and it does nuts and all these things. And a nice wee quirk of the one that I got fitted for my Triumph. So when I went into Triumph, I got a factory fitted alarm put in it.
Yep.
At the time of buying, but I hadn't had the bike for a couple of years, and I thought, better be security conscious, and all these kind of things. I'm taking it into Glasgow, I'll be parking it and bike parking outside. I want to just make sure there's as many deterrents as possible, and for the first couple of years, the alarm was no issues at all. Absolutely brilliant, and great. Although I do personally have this wee kind of inability to remember whether one flash of the light was off or on. So, you press the button, it flashes once, and you go, right, wait a minute, have I turned it off or have I turned it on? Right, so 1 begins with O, and that means on. But 2 begins with T, and that means turned on. Or did that mean turned off? Because off begins with O. So I'd regularly put the key in and forget that and even now, looking back, I think, I don't know which flash means which. So
I do that, and then eventually I've got to stand there for a couple of minutes and then go, no, the red light's going in the dash straight, that's it.
That's fine.
And then
the other thing I was a bit paranoid about with the thing is when I would go to Ireland, take the bike over to Ireland, and there was like another option where you kind of pressed it and hold it down, so that if you're in, you get the thing strapped up in the ferry and you're upstairs, and it won't go off with the movement of the ferry.
Oh, like a transport mode kind of
transport
thing.
Mode.
Aye.
And I could never admit, and I was always paranoid when I went across to see my brother in Ireland that I turned it on properly or not, or if it was downstairs, and then it's drained your battery and you got to turn it on to get off the. However, what happened with me was after a couple of years, I went to turn the bike on, and the bike started up fine. It was great, but I had a problem with the plug seals, which I didn't know that's what it was at the time, spark plugs, right? But what would happen with the Triumph factory alarm is that because the plugs were arcing, and they wasn't heating up properly, so when the automatic choke was on, the bike was running fine, but the minute the automatic choke kicked off, the bike would cut out, and the bike cut out, the factory fitted alarm immobiliser part of it kicked in, and I couldn't start the bike again. I'm stuck at the side of the road and I can't start the bike. So basically, I got the thing ripped out the bike just so that I could get it to a garage in order to get the seals and everything fixed. And I took it to the boys in Greenock, Haldanes, which are brilliant, great guys, absolutely brilliant, superb, really switched on, know their stuff. If you're in that neck of the woods, definitely go up there and get your bike seen with them, brilliant. And that was their advice, was basically, it's after a couple of years they just start playing up, and all these kind of things. So I was literally stuck with a bike that wouldn't even turn on because the bike thought it was getting nicked. Because
that's the ultimate immobiliser. It won't even let you start the bike.
Won't let you start. So I got it ripped out, and then I was like slightly panicking, going, should I have done that? Should I maybe just because I then had to take it to Triumph to get the seals, the plug seals done right, and even the boys in Triumph said, they cause problems after a couple of years. So I'm not going to name names or anything like that, because if somebody from Triumph's listening, they'll be like that, But basically, they were saying
either that or they're all listening to this nodding, going, yeah, that's
absolutely right.
Loads of
so, but that kind of made me think to myself, well, if you are going to get an alarm fitted, do a wee bit of research in terms of what will happen, what will your alarm do to your bike if something else goes on with the bike. And it's the immobiliser side of things that was the big issue with this Triumph alarm, in the sense of because the bike was cutting it thought something was getting shut off in the bike, and the immobiliser kicked in, and then it would not start again. Because
so maybe buy an alarm, don't buy one that's got an immobiliser on it.
I possibly, yeah. So that was a couple of weeks of
hell.
annoyance.
Annoyance.
Yeah, annoyance. There we go. So that's
That was the polite way of putting
you know.
it.
So
It's a couple of weeks of inconvenience.
inconvenience. So so alarms. Again, but one of the things that the guys have always said, and I don't know if we'll cover it later on, but is basically especially the boys in Haldane, they've said, you know, we can regularly go to pick up people's bikes. And we'll go and we'll pick up the guy, and the guy says, the bike's sitting there. I've put the key into the fake rock down by the side of my, you know what I mean? And we go to move the bike, and the alarm starts going, because it's a dog alarm. And you know, so the alarm's giving it woo, 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 right? And he says, and because we're put on the back of a truck, nobody bats an eyelid. Because you look like you're supposed to be picking the bike up. So nobody bats an eyelid. And he said the amount of times that we've done that and we've driven the bike off and the thing's blaring away in the back of the truck and nobody is batting.
Gives a monkeys
Anymore. So how effective are they? Really? Do you know what I mean?
Again, it's one of the ones, if they want your bike,
They'll take your bike. So it's a deterrent, but again, you know, it's only as good as the resolve of the thief that's trying to get your bike.
Aye, that's true.
There we go.
Aftermarket alarms?
Aftermarket alarms. There's loads to choose from. Yeah. They're not found in the sold secure. Because obviously that's more to do with strength and durability of locks and things, isn't it? It's a locksmith thing rather than an alarm thing.
Well, actually, here's an interesting fact. Did you know the Sold Secure organisation is governed by the Master Locksmith Association?
There you go. So, but that's not. Aye, that's what I mean. So it's not alarms. Aye, that's what we said, wasn't it? I know. Did you not just repeat what? Aye.
I was just checking if the coffee wore off yet.
No. So, for example, the Data Tool S4 Red, is that similar to what you've got on your bike?
It's the alarm. Aye, that's just the alarm though. Aye, it's not the tracker.
Not the tracker, but it's the alarm part of it.
Yes.
You're saying there. £279 plus fitting. It's a Cat 1 alarm and immobiliser. Again, immobilisers. And if that's out of your budget, then you can go for a smaller version, Data Tool Evo Plus alarm and immobiliser, $134.99. But there's, you know, again,
there's a plethora of options, isn't there?
Absolutely. A plethora
of
badges. We don't need no stinking badges. So, again, there's loads of options on alarms. So it's all budget and technical expertise dependent, really, on what you're going to do.
I think you've got to try and turn that into immobilizers. We don't need no stinking immobilizers.
So I think from my experience, if somebody's going to take your bike, the alarm is not going to really have that big a deterrent. If they're professional thieves who know what they're doing, because they're going to rock up and they're going to get that on the back of a thing quick and probably drive it off and disconnect it as it's driving away.
Or they'll just steal it and have it barking or whining all the way down the road, and they'll bat an eye.
Yep.
Many times we've seen a car alarm go off in a car park and you go to, and then don't even go in or near it, and it could be getting robbed. You just don't know.
Yep.
Now there is a whole other big list of stuff that we didn't cover, because we just don't have the time to look at them all, research them all, and I mean it's just it would take, this podcast would be about 10 hours long and people would be sleeping. The only one thing I will call it is probably bike cover, because I know this does get a lot of, if it can't be seen, not that it can't be stolen, but it's a deterrent to getting it stolen. So if you keep your bike at home but you don't keep it in like a lock-up or a garage or even one of those little kind of shell things that you can drive the bike into, and then it kind of shuts like a turtle shell, and you've got it at the side of the house with a ground anchor and all that kind of good stuff, and trackers and alarms and stuff. Just having it covered up, it's less liable to be stolen. Just because people then don't naturally assume that it's in there, or
it's probably an interesting thing to say, because I would never think about a bike cover as being a security product. I would think about it as being a protection from the elements product.
Aye.
But you're right. You know, if you don't know what's underneath it, you're not going to go up and have a wee look. It's not like you go It's not like you go shopping. You know.
No.
You know.
And then peek under and go, ooh, that's nice.
Yeah.
No. I think it was one of the things I read, and it was one kind of police divisions down south. I can't remember what one it said, but they'd said even just covering your bike up, if you got even a disc lock on it, if you cover the bike up and it's parked to a bike that's got the same disc lock but isn't covered up, the thieves are inclined to take the one that's not covered up. And you're thinking, that's just weird, it's just a cover, you can just go woof and whip it off. Do you know what I mean? Like one of these waiters that takes the tablecloth out with laying the cutlery and the glasses and all that on it.
Yep.
So, but apparently that's, they
think,
say it does, it does, it's not, it's the, we don't see it, so we're less inclined to steal it because they don't want the hassle of trying to peek under it and cover it and all that.
See what you've got,
so it's weird. And how much is a bike cover? 15 quid for a cheap one. They probably got up to about £100 if you want a thingy one.
Yeah, if it's just for that, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I know Harley Day one that actually blows up. It's like a Zorb, and you can put a bike in it, but that like keeps the air and all that enclosed and all that in it, so that the air and moisture and all that stuff doesn't get to the bike. It's weird, but it's a bit more expensive. But I think even at that, it's only 150 quid.
Yeah,
so
it's not bad.
You know what I mean? So bike covers.
Bit gimmick though, really. But
cheapest chips.
But if you've got that bike cover on it and somebody wants to take your bike,
at least it will drive for them.
But they're taking the cover as well, aren't they?
Well, that's true. So get a cheap one. That way when your bike gets nicked, you're not heartbroken about the £200 bike cover you put on it.
So I think for me, it's about extending the amount of time it will take somebody to move your bike, and the more things that are in their way, the less likely somebody's going to be to take it.
The more and more I read into some stuff, the more I thought, you know what it's like? It's like when you go hill walking. Not that I go much hill walking, right? But everybody say, when you go camping, right? Folks say, layer up. You know what I mean? So put a wee thin top on, then put a t-shirt on, then put a jumper on, then put a jacket on. Because if it gets too hot, you can always take your jacket off and take your hoodie coat off. And I think bike security is a bit like that. Just layer it up. You know what I mean? If you don't have hundreds and hundreds of money, then you know what I mean?
Put 5 cheap things on.
You could put 5 cheap things on. It's 5 things that they're going to need to try and dismantle, or put the £100 into something that's really, really solid. But I'd imagine a 13mm chain to get through would probably take the same amount of time, if no less time, to get through than 2 disc locks and a throttle lock and you mean whatever else you might have put on
and
there.
A cover.
And a cover. Do you know what I mean?
And
it's all the wee things you go, well, you know what I mean? He's looking at it and going, well, it'll take me 40 seconds to cut through that 10mm chain. Oh no, he's got a couple of disc locks on there. They're a faff. I can't be bothered with him. And a guy next to his 125 or moped or Jigsaw or whatever's knocked, and your bike's still lying there with all its security still on it. So I think it is just layering it up.
Yeah, layering it up. That's a great analogy, actually. Layering it up.
Just layer it up. Layer it up.
Layer cake. That's another Guy Ritchie thing.
That is for people that are. I mean, obviously, people want to get it because we weren't recording at that point.
We were talking about Guy Ritchie films.
We were talking about Guy Ritchie films because I watched The Gentleman. When was that? It must have been more than a couple of days ago because I've stopped using the swear words that Guy Ritchie uses. One in particular that we will not repeat.
Nope.
And it took a couple of days for that to wear off. So I was just giving him the benefit of the doubt because he's not seen it yet. Make sure he's got a couple of days before he has any kind of public engagement or needs to speak to anyone in a professional capacity, because he might find that every 10th word is the said word. And then that got us onto Guy Ritchie and Jason Statham, which probably kind of, I think that's maybe why when we came up with a big question, like on a whim, it kind of turned into,
when I was not down, not coming in.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, cool. So are you saying what would you rather do, one big thing or layer up?
Me, I think I'd layer up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I've got the benefit, I've got the alarm and the tracker on it. If I didn't have the alarm and the tracker on it, I would probably put a Monimoto tracker on it. I would have a disc lock on it and maybe a lever lock.
One of the things we didn't look at in this, actually, I've just kind of popped in my head, is like, you know, the wee kind of disc things, like, you know, there's like wee keyring things and all that you can, if you lose your keys and stuff like that, you can track them on your phone app.
Oh, like a wee fob
things, you know.
Thing.
You could. They're probably quite hideable. I don't know. I'm not sure how effective they are and how far away.
I don't know how far. I don't know how far they need to be, and I don't know if you can.
Because Apple have just brought out one, have they not?
Aye, like a kind of tile type thing.
Aye. Is it tile? That's the stuff.
Aye. I don't know if you need to be within a certain zone or on the same Wi-Fi or
Or is
I
it a
don't
monthly
know.
payment? But that's maybe something
don't know.
that's
Yeah, I mean-
worth looking into if you're looking for something that you can.
I still
Yeah.
think if you want something that's trackable, I think the best option is Dell's option.
Dell's option's brilliant
Because-
it's a stroke of genius.
I'll-
A
there's-
twin stroke of genius.
Hey,
Yeah.
I just think there's everybody in this day and age has more than one phone line in a drawer,
Why?
and that's not by any means you mean going. I've got loads of iPhones kicking about the drawer. I think I've got an old Motorola phone line somewhere, and it'll be 2G, and that's probably more than enough for some sort of GPS location service.
Absolutely,
Do
yeah.
you know what I mean?
So you don't need, you're not sticking a £1,200 phone in the
No,
the saddle.
because that would be pointless. Because I could buy a Beast and a Titan and the latest tracker and the subscription and the best alarm and still be, you know what I mean, in pocket than putting the latest Apple or Samsung smartphone in it.
But if you're on a budget, it's probably one of the best
But
decisions ever.
I think it's
A twin stroke of genius.
if you like the comfort of having the app and having some and being able to leave it in all the time, then the Monimoto tracker, I think it's a great bit of kit for the £30 a year. You know what I mean? Yeah, you've got to outlay it, but you could.
If
you
it
can
is an
swap
old,
it.
but if it is something like an old iPhone or something or a Samsung or something, you've actually got an app on another phone that you can physically track it. So,
Aye.
mhm.
Just and get a wee wiring harness that just wires up to wherever you're hiding it,
And
and just USB it. And
if you could have some sort of auto answer function, you could call the phone and then make the people that stole the bike think they've got a ghost. The phone could actually be like,
I see dead people
exactly.
on my bike.
This is the ghost biker.
Which is the Nicolas Cage blaring it in the back. Aye,
That's it.
Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider.
Aye, that's not a bad idea. I did want to try that with my doorbell.
Did you?
Aye, I did want to try it. I said to my neighbour, you should buy one of these just to wind your neighbour up when they come in drunk at night and just sit and wait for it. And then when they thingy, put the mic on, just go, hello, I can see you. And just creep them out. But again, we're quite twisted that way, so. Yeah, man. But aye.
There we go.
there
Yeah,
you
so
go.
that conclusion
we,
is...
we went off on a wild tangent.
Conclusion is the layer up's probably quite a good way of doing it and a cost-effective way of doing it. But if you've got an expensive bike, you're going to get a lot of the stuff with it anyway when you buy the bike.
Aye, if you buy an expensive, or even not expensive, but even I mean, most new bikes will come either with some option or whatever on it. I think the thing is you're right. Be careful when you're doing your homework and you're researching that bike. Research ended. If it's a brand spanking new model, then you might be struggling a wee bit, but you probably find that. Like on the brand, let's say for example, let's use the Speed Twin. That brand new Speed Twin that's coming out, brand new model, right? Yeah, albeit it's had previous iterations, but that's a brand new model.
Yeah.
Or if you're buying a brand new MT R7, right? Hi Colin, did you get one? No, you didn't. But if you a brand new, it's a spanking brand new model. However, its lineage has come from other bikes in the Yamaha range, and probably the security alarm immobilizer tracker will have been used on other bikes, so you can then start to research, is people having problems with it in a couple of years' time?
Aye.
Is it starting to cause, or being temperamental and cause, you know, I mean, the bike to no start on the side of roads and stuff like that? And that's the kind of, it's probably something you don't think about when you're buying a new bike, because you get caught up in the excitement of buying a new bike.
Another thing to think about is that if you do that and buy a bike and it all comes fitted to the standard, and then you get problems down the line, make sure you tell your insurance company you've not got an alarm anymore.
Oh, I do that. Because that
always remember to keep your insurance company up to date with the security fittings on your bike.
Aye,
you know,
absolutely. And if you're serious about your security, then obviously check out Sold Secure's site and research the absolute life for it. A lot of sites that sell these things now have the big stamp on them that tells you motorcycle gold rating, and be sure it's motorcycle gold rating, because they do camper van ratings, they do bicycle ratings, so it needs to be the motorcycle rating. And just check them out and just be comfortable that you know exactly what you're getting. The same as everything else, I suppose. But aye, That's where I would go with.
Nice one.
You same.
Yeah, very much so. I think it depends on your budget, but everything, you know. But I've always believed if a thief sees a bike that takes 5 minutes to break into, and they see a bike that takes 50 seconds to break into, they're going to take the 50-second one. Bottom line,
Aye.
you know. But also, if they want that bike, they're going to get it.
Yep.
You know.
Aye.
And that's been that was said to me when I bought the bike at Triumph. That was one of the things that the guys in Triumph said. They said, look, you know, these are all deterrents, but if somebody wants your bike, they're going to get it. You know,
Aye, they will find a way.
They will find
And
a
if
way.
you don't
to
get
do
it the first time and they really want it, they'll probably get it a second time.
Yeah.
And there's not much you can do about it.
Mm.
Oh my God, that is so somber, isn't it? It's just like, hello,
I know.
your bike's gonna get stolen.
I know.
We're not
It's-
normally that. You mean
I know, but I think the thing is you know,
pick me up?
pick me up. You know, I think the thing is, you know, if you're, don't be stupid when you leave your bike lying about. Folk will no nick it. Do you know what I mean?
Aye, don't park it in a dark alley when you could chain it to a lamppost
Absolutely.
that's got a big LED light in it. Those kind of things.
But it's the same for anything, whether it's a bike or it's a car or it's a camper van or do you know what I mean, or it's a garden gnome in your garden. If somebody wants it bad enough, they will get it.
Aye.
You know what I mean? But it's making sure that you deter that as much as possible.
Exactly. And again,
But there's a lot of horrible, nasty people out there that do these things. So you know,
I go back to something else we didn't touch on. Where you park your bike and where you look your bike up when you're out on the run or out on the road is probably just as important, because on a dark night, don't park it up close when there's a police station literally just around the corner that has bike parking and big locks and the lights are on and the cops are coming in and out on it.
yeah.
That's probably the best place to park it, because nobody's going to nick it outside the police station, just as an example. So
Yeah, exactly.
those type of things, just common sense.
Yeah, that's constant. But people forget or think about where you are going to put your bike and think about when you're coming back for your bike. You know, so it's all very well saying, well, I'm parking my bike at 4 PM to go and see my pal, and I've parked it outside his house, but I've no looked around and went, actually, there's no street lights here, and I'm going to be in there till like 10 o'clock at night, so I'm coming out in the dark. You know, am I coming out to an empty space?
Aye.
Yeah.
Although the best way to protect your bike, ride it. Don't
Aye.
stop.
Don't stop.
Just don't park it anywhere. Just
That's
keep riding.
That's it.
Just ride. Just
Zoom call on your bike, you know.
that thing, that advert with a guy on a motorbike doing a jump with a green screen behind him and a laptop changing it front of the bike. You're like,
Actually,
really?
okay.
No, I'm not buying that.
No.
There you go. Bike security. It's done.
Sorted.
Episode 7 done.
That's it,
Episode
folks,
7.
yeah.
That's
Episode
quite, we're nearly in double figures. We're going to start running out of ideas of what crap to talk about next.
We will never run out of ideas of what crap to talk about. We might run out of ideas of what relevant subjects to talk about, but I don't think we will ever run out of what crap to talk about.
No, we could ramble literally utter nonsense for like an hour and a half, no bother. Again, thank you for listening to our usual ramblings. Us pair of average bikers. And again, thanks for each and every one of you for supporting this episode and all the previous episodes. We were having a look at the numbers tonight, and it's just it's mind blowing every time we look at it. Yeah, albeit we're not like super celebrities, but actually just the fact that we've got a little core group of people that listen to it every week is just it just makes us want to do it more.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to and give you lots of different things. So we'll keep.
Exactly. And as always, our little disclaimer, remember these are just the opinions of a group of average bikers.
Yeah, we are not sponsored by any of the products we talk about. We don't, you know, I mean, if somebody wants to, we'll do one.
By all means, if
By all
anyone's
means.
listening and wants us to sponsor, we will quite happily.
Absolutely. But we know, but there's none of this is about anything other than our opinions.
Aye.
Yeah. So a massive thank you from myself and from Darren. If you've enjoyed it and you haven't already, please like, share, subscribe. If you want to get in touch, there's many ways you can do it, Darren.
A plethora.
Tell us how we can.
I'm going to use plethora.
Tell us how you, as a listener, can touch the average bikers in the cave.
Well, Ian, I'm glad you brought that up. There's multiple ways you can get in contact with us through our Facebook page or our Instagram. Alternatively, if you like a bit of old school, email us at averagebikersinacave@outlook.com.
And remember, only a biker understands why a dog sticks his head out of the car window.
Oh.